There we go.
It's all a process.
It's all a process.
There you go.
It's all just a process. Oh my gosh. Hey, welcome to the Coach's Lunchroom. You're so much better at it than me. Oh my gosh.
I've got that lounge voice. Lunchroom.
Yeah, you got it figured out.
I feel like I should have some white leather shoes on and a white leather belt and polyester.
A skinny tie.
No, that's the 80s. I'm talking 70s.
Oh, I
Maybe
see.
60s even.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a millennial, so.
Well, I'm wearing my Leroy Jenkins shirt today because it's Wednesday, and that means here in the Coach's Lunchroom, it's Woo Woo Wednesday,
Woo
and
Woo
tonight
Wednesday.
I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons. So
Yeah.
that's a D&D reference. If you get it. Actually, it's a World of Warcraft game reference, but you know.
Wednesday at the Lavelle's. I mean,
There you go.
it's just a nonstop party.
And it's got green in it, so I'm like kind of see-through now.
Yeah, it's like a green tinge
There
to the
you
yellow.
go.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Say hello. Let me know how you're doing.
Hey, Karen. Hey, Elizabeth.
Yeah, Elizabeth says the jingle's getting better.
There we go.
You know, it takes a lot of tenacity to sing publicly.
There you go.
Going live is one
a
thing.
lot of fearlessness or a lot of craziness or all of the above.
Singing while you're live. That's next level.
There you go. There you go. The Coach's Lunchroom. There we
I
go.
like it. Yeah, exactly. So we're ready for the woo. Today's Woo Woo Wednesday. Hello, Stephanie. I'm glad you're here. Hello,
She says
Elizabeth.
she's ready for the woo.
Hi, Karen. So we're going to talk about alignment.
Alignment.
Yes. Because the thing is that I think of your journey is kind of like a car going down the street. And if your alignment is off, then what happens is you have to fight to keep the steering wheel straight.
That's right.
So that's why it's
It
really
makes
important.
a funny sound, too. There's a lot of friction
Oh my gosh.
when things aren't aligned.
And
Yeah.
it wears on your tires the wrong way.
Yep.
Everything gets way out of balance.
Things start to break on the car and the steering. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about alignment and more importantly, like how do you achieve more alignment in what you're doing with your business? And I'm really excited because we're actually going to share some stories. Well, story time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
About, well,
that's the nature of organic, right? You never know what you're going to get.
Amanda has a whole big plan.
It's like a box of chocolates.
But just like Forrest Gump, we're going to tell you some stories.
There you go.
Of just about alignment and where it wasn't there and what that felt like and what was happening and what we did to get alignment.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. You want
Okay,
to take it away?
okay. Well, yeah. So we're sharing stories of misalignment. So I can do this. I got this.
You got
So
this.
if
Okay.
we're going to talk
I
about
like it.
stories of misalignment and then when alignment was finally reached, how that helped, well, I'll share part of my story. I'm an ex-corporate CFO in a Fortune 10 company, at least at one point. And so in that process, I did a lot of things that were kind of day-to-day finance kind of practices and leading teams. So coaching teams in a large organization. However, I really liked the coaching part, and I didn't like the other stuff, the finance stuff, even though I was functioning in a CFO capacity. And so the misalignment there caused a lot of stress for me. I'd have long days sometimes, or I'd just not want to be involved with work. So that might cause mental health or depression kind of problems, things like that. I experienced that. I'll hold my hand up for that. And so that misalignment of doing a lot of stuff I didn't really want to spend my life doing around finances and helping a corporation reach its goals as opposed to more individuals, the coaching part I really liked, well, that caused a misalignment. So it caused a lot of friction. I wasn't happy in the job, even though I performed well. I wasn't satisfied. So that brought a lot of grumpiness home, and that friction kind of, she knows, that friction bled over into the home a little bit. And so that misalignment just, really didn't help with my perspective, my mood, my mental health, my energy. I didn't bring my best all the time, for example. But once I got a lot of clarity, and there's a whole lot of backstory we've shared on that, once I got a lot of clarity on really what I wanted to do, which was coaching, specifically working with this lovely lady in our coaching business, helping other coaches, that changed the game. I was now doing the thing I loved about my old job, the coaching people part, helping people accomplish goals, sometimes really big goals in their coaching business. And now I had that alignment in such a way that I wasn't grumpy all the time. I wasn't tired all the time. I didn't bring the angst home per se, and I enjoyed my day a lot more. Because, for example, I get to do stuff like this right here with you now, where I talk about things like this.
Exactly. We get to sit in our fake living room with you.
I mean, look at my energy
our
level.
living room does not look like this.
Look at my energy level. Do I seem like an angry person right now? Do I
Okay.
seem like a grumpy person?
So
No.
So about 10 minutes ago, though,
10 minutes ago, I was coming off school time.
His alignment
that is not aligned with me.
His alignment was a little squeaky, and I was like, Chris,
you totally just called me out.
I'm like, it was amazing. I was like, I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. She did. She said that over lunch. I had gotten lunch ready for everybody.
I'm like, I appreciate you. And there's like a small shift, and then the second you got here, and we're with our friends, and it's just like
totally different experience.
Totally different. So I'm curious, like, for you,
alignment in action.
What are those things that you do where it's like the second you step into
the thing you're aligned to,
everything lines up? Like for Chris, it's the Staley Show.
Absolutely.
Right? He steps into it, and suddenly he's like,
I love it. It's so aligned with what I want to do.
Yeah. So what about you?
Homeschool, not so much.
Yeah, fighting with a district issued iPad.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so what about for you? Like, it could be in your life, but especially in your coaching business. Like, where is it that when you do something, you lose track of time? Because that happens for you, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When we're here live, and I'm like kicking you under the table because we're at 29 minutes, and you're like, what?
What?
Yeah,
I'm still going here.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of get revved up, and there's almost
That's right.
It's almost like you have to fight to stop it.
It's almost like time stands still. It's like, as Elizabeth was about to reference, a car going down a hill. You get momentum, and you just keep going. You want to keep going. You don't want to stop the car because you're in flow and enjoying it. It's easy when things are aligned.
Yeah. I love that ease kind of conversation. And do shout out in the comments. I would genuinely love to know, like, where do you lose track of time when it comes to this biz thing? And where I'll give you a follow-up question after that, but answer that one first.
So where do you lose time in your biz building?
Yeah, because you're just like, you're so
positive lose time. You're
in
so focused.
In flow, right? So
what is it for you? Where do you lose time in your biz building?
Oh my gosh.
Where do you enjoy it so much that it's just effortless and aligned?
There's a few things, but generally when I'm coaching.
I was just about to call you and say, it's coaching.
Yeah.
I've watched you do it.
Yeah, exactly. So Stephanie shared, I love strategy meetings. I light up when I'm strategizing on the next steps with clients. I lose track of time on those calls.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's that creative thing that you enjoy so much. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Elizabeth, that's no surprise. She says content creation, actually.
There you go. That's good to know and understand.
That's a really good thing. So when you know what that thing is that you get into flow, then it's all about aligning everything to fit with that. So when I was starting out and really not finding alignment yet, there was just, here's how you know, it's the friction, right? You get this friction feeling. I'd
kind of
love
that
to
grinding noise in your life, so to speak.
Yeah, shout out friction, and then what is it that you've experienced the most friction in your business? If you had to pick like one thing that you feel the most friction around, shout that out too. Because here's the thing, when I first started, it felt like everything I did, it was like sandpaper on sandpaper. Yep. Like it wasn't smooth. It didn't flow. Everything felt awkward. Everything felt foreign, strange, annoying. Any of these words, like they were completely out of alignment.
Well, absolutely.
And I was learning from, so many different sources. So then I was, definitely getting the overwhelm. Yeah. Of feeling like I was always on a fire, drinking from a fire hose. But at the same time, I felt like so much of it was useless to me because I was like, that seems gimmicky.
Or I can't do that at this stage.
That strikes me as sleazy, and so I was not only overwhelmed, but I was feeling a lot of judgment for a lot of the advice I was getting.
Sure.
And
I had that too.
It kept me really, really out of alignment and in a lot of friction and frustration. So it was really this awful perfect storm of working all the time and not getting anywhere.
Oh, isn't that the worst? That's the worst.
Like when you sit back and you're like, wow, I've worked on this full time or, 20 hours a week anyway, for months.
And it's just not getting smoother.
And it's not getting smoother. It's not getting easier. And it wasn't until I started really seeking that alignment and seeking like, well, what are the things I can get behind? What are the things that I do love to do? What are the things that allow me to really show up differently? And how can I kind of manufacture or create an environment to thrive in doing that?
There you go.
Right?
Yep.
So let's see.
And so, while you're getting ready to show some of those friction responses, that really does have a good analogy with the car. Because when you first get a brand new car, like when it first comes off the assembly line, it may have some weird rattles and noises, things like that when it first gets started, because it's still knocking off the rough edges, so to speak. It's not got all the grease everywhere it needs to go yet. The friction's not burned off. It's not running smoothly. And that can take a little time sometimes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought I'd share that analogy.
Yeah, I remember that with your Jeep.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
When you first got your Jeep, you actually called the dealership and you're like, was there something wrong?
Yeah, what's wrong with my Jeep? I mean, the thing is like rattling all over the place. And don't worry, give it about 150, 200 miles, it'll settle down.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened.
We've had it a decade now, almost a full decade, and it's just going strong.
Wow. Can you even believe that?
That's pretty amazing. Now, some people responded on your friction comment here.
Yeah, so I don't consider it losing time, but if you're in the middle of an aha moment and the time is up, I know.
There you go.
That's annoying.
So Stephanie mentions on friction.
So sorry, Lorraine said, I'm actually in flow now and it feels great, but that means there's a lot of questions and action is present. Good insight. I like that. So Stephanie says the friction is content creation and marketing.
Okay.
I'm going to pick on that in a little bit, Stephanie. I'm going to come back to that. And then Elizabeth says friction is that anything that's performance related, like feeling like I have to give some sort of a performance, whether it's doing a call, a video class, or a live.
That's good to know.
That's really good to know.
Where does friction show up for you in your coaching biz?
So here's your next layer, guys, because this is Woo Woo Wednesday. So as you know, us woo woo types, we know that there's the surface and then there's what's really going on. So when you say anything that's performance related, right? Anything that's performance related, really anything that's performance related, and yet you're drawn to this career.
Interesting.
You're drawn to this. So there's
which has an element of performance.
Yes, right? There's going to be a conflict. There's always going to be a conflict there unless we can get to, well, what is really behind that? Because obviously you want to do the performance, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't you wouldn't be doing, what you're doing, and I know you're doing a lot. You're working really, really hard at it. So the question becomes, well, what's behind that that's out of alignment for you?
There we go. Okay.
So for me, and I can't speak to yours, of course. I can only speak to mine. For me, when it came to performance of being on video and being in coaching call or being in a consult about my coaching abilities, I actually had to do a lot of work on loving me. And loving my own worth, my own right to my skills, and my own connection to why this was on my heart, right? I mean, there's a reason that I'm not, I don't know why it came to my mind, but there's a reason I'm not a surgeon.
No, that's
right?
fair.
Or there's a reason I'm not a firefighter. There's a reason that I'm not
something else
of the other millions and millions of permutations of possibilities of things. There was a reason I was pulled toward coaching, right? There's something about it, and performance is part of it. And with Stephanie, for getting yourself to that place that you can have so many strategy sessions that you just don't even know what to do with yourself. Again, like producing that content and putting things out there, and kind of, I almost think of it like you're the kid with the pot and the wooden spoon, and you're banging on it so that people know
trying to get attention,
there, right? Like that's what content creation and marketing is all about, and the performance piece of it is all about. Is really just increasing the awareness of the people around you that you have a thing you can do that'll help.
That'll help them,
right? And I know for me, I struggled so much with sending those first emails. And so much with doing my first blog. Do you remember this?
Oh, I was there for it. I remember. What helped you get past it, though?
I had to get very aligned to why I was doing it.
Oh, so why you had to do 10 of these things before it really started to make sense. When you were on 2 or 3, you had to get aligned with, well, it's not that I really want to do this. It's that it's aligned with where I want to go. And so I have to work through this to get where I want to go because the alignment is on the other side.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So, I had to find what was aligned to get to what I could do, right? So what was aligned for me was I wanted more people to feel like they can do what I have done in having more transformation and change in their life. And so that I could get behind all day. That was totally aligned to my sense of purpose. So when it came to the video, which I was terrified of, I chose to talk about those things that if I could just really sit down with them like this for real and say that and actually speak to them and say the same words, I could get behind that. That was so aligned for me.
So that was what helped you make that leap, is you were kind of almost imagining you were talking to them in a face-to-face kind of situation.
I just had to get used to, instead of being a flesh and blood like human person,
the camera was the other person.
This little bitty window into
this little green dot up there.
Little green dot. I needed to learn how to talk to the dot, right? and there's a second piece to that alignment too, right? Is like I'm aligned to the message, right? And I'm aligned that I need to learn how to talk to a little green dot. But also just right sizing, like how much of a challenge is it really to learn how to talk to a dot?
It's really that hard?
I had built up in my mind that it was this hard, horrible thing. Or
well, you put a lot more behind it than a green dot.
Yes.
You were imagining millions or billions of people on the other side. Some of them may be judgmental, otherwise. You put a lot more into it, then it's a little green dot.
Yeah. Now, Elizabeth said she got a huge supportive response for her live the other day. Way to go. She got some marketing clients from that. Fantastic. But I feel no more success from it. That's interesting.
Interesting.
That is a very interesting thing. My coaching question to you would be, what's not aligned there? Right?
If you're not feeling the
if you're achieving something and it doesn't feel like success, has anybody ever felt like that? Shout out, like, that's me. If you have ever felt that feeling of achieving something and yet not feeling successful.
There you go. So you did a thing, you got a result you wanted, but at the end of it, you didn't feel like you got the result you wanted.
You didn't feel successful. That is a huge indication of an alignment issue. So I've had that happen too. I
think a lot of folks have. I know I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Like I kind of think of, do you remember a couple years ago I did the Crush IT offer?
I remember that, yeah.
So I used to do this offer where I would help you set up your Kajabi and I would help you set up like your landing pages, and then there was some coaching and stuff. And it was an okay offer, but I always really struggled. Like I sold it pretty easily, but I never felt satisfied with it. Yeah. I never felt like it was really what would help people, and there was an alignment problem.
Well, you were also
I was achieving, but I wasn't succeeding.
You were successfully selling it, but then you were doing things to deliver it that really weren't what you wanted to focus on. It was a lot of IT consulting delivery type stuff, tech delivery stuff, and it really wasn't what you wanted to do. So it wasn't aligned. I was capable
of it. This is the trap, is when you're capable of doing something.
When you're even good at it.
And you may be even good at it because you are so capable, and like a lot of people are not capable, but they appreciate your skill in it, and you do it by default.
Yep, they give you praise or they pay you for it, and they definitely want it. There's demand, but man, it's just not what you want to do. You may be good at it, but it's not what you want to do. That's like me when I was a CFO in the corporate world.
Tell us about
I was really good at it, got great performance reviews, but man, I hated it. 25 plus years of doing it, and I was like, oh, I'm so sick out of being here.
So I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
What, like, if looking back, if you could put your finger on it, why did you stay for 25 years?
The same reason you've mentioned before. There was a certain degree of risk avoidance. I knew there was safety and security.
Risk avoidance.
So to your point, I was aligned with the idea of having security. Steady paycheck, job to go to, things like that. Many people didn't maybe, for example, have a job like that. And so there was a lot of positive, but it still wasn't aligned. So I was good at it. I was getting rewarded for it, but it just wasn't aligned with where I wanted to put my energy in this life.
You've got to be careful of achieving the wrong kind of success.
That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Achieving the wrong success. And it winds up being a trap for you. I mean, you've talked about the golden handcuffs that you had. Same thing for me. I wound up being trapped in something that I was good at, they wanted to pay me for, but I had no passion around. And that's kind of the three stools, an analogy for parenting. We talk to our kids regularly about there are three legs on the stool that you have to have, kids. You've got to be good at what you want to do with your life. You've got to enjoy it, and somebody has to pay you for it.
Profitability.
You've got to have those three things. And so I had 2 out of 3, and I was miserable.
Yeah, because the passion was missing. And I remember, like, sometimes you don't know you're going to have that alignment issue until you're in it.
You got to sometimes get the experience before you get that clarity.
I remember sitting down and doing that Crush IT. Get it? Crush it?
Crush
Do you get it?
Crush IT.
Crush IT. Crush it. Anyway.
I thought that was always funny.
So I love the title of it, obviously. Like, I'm like, ooh, this sounds really good. And, like, when I looked at it on paper, it was a very logical offer, a very desirable offer, because people hate doing techie stuff. So I'm like, I actually really don't mind doing techie stuff, so I could totally do this for you and get that roadblock out of the way. And so on paper and leading up to it, I thought I had a winner. Mm-hmm. I thought I had something. I'm like, dang, I'm going to ride this one to, our entire year of revenue. And I sold 4 of them?
4 or 5.
4 or 5 of them. Like, and people paid, happily, and they enjoyed the process. And the thing I loved was the coaching opportunity. But I really didn't enjoy doing the done for you part.
Which was just like in your consulting world. As a consulting executive, you love the coaching part of it, you said, but you hated the rest of it that came along with it.
Yeah, well, and I had this limiting belief, because we're Woo Woo Wednesday, we're talking about alignment.
That's right.
I had this limiting belief that because I was choosing to do something that was more done for you, that it would be easier to sell. And that I would be happier because I was going to be more financially successful. And the truth is that what I ended up doing is I ended up, going back on the search and trying some other offers and trying other things. And there was a part of me that kind of panged for that. I was like, am I abandoning something that it would be very smart to do in favor of something that might be more my passion but less profitable? For example. And when I went on that path, I realized I really wanted to do more like group programs because I do really well with group coaching. And when I got clear on that and I went for it, here's what happened. Okay. So now I'm aligned with my passion. I'm choosing something that, you can make money as a group coach, but it didn't seem quite as no-brainer as the Crush IT offer.
Gotcha. Okay.
And what happened was we sold fewer seats for the group than I was able to do for the IT offer. So on the surface, it looks like it's a big old failure.
Yep.
Right? It looks like I'm not making as much money. It looks like it's a huge failure. What I did, though, to get back into alignment is I asked the question, well, what would bring this into alignment? What would do something to make this work? And the answer, honestly, was figure out your system to have more people show up more often. And if I could get more people to show up more often, it would make up for the fact it wasn't done for you. And then I'd be able to have it all, have my cake and eat it too. So
there you go.
That led to a big journey of learning how to properly market and how to create those systems and processes. And, the rest is history.
Well, that led to some of the same systems and processes you put in place for the social media mini course you're putting together right now.
Yeah, I almost forgot.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We've got a new mini course that we're doing next week. So Crushy the Crushbot is listening. If you want to type in social in the comments.
SOCIAL, and it's a beta course, so this is kind of the finalization of the product, and that's why we hold it to only 20 seats, and they're already going. So definitely, if you have an interest in learning how to use social media for your coaching business growth, this is where we dish on a lot of those processes Amanda was just talking about.
A lot of people think it's about posting all the time, and they think that it's about your content calendar. And
there's a silver bullet of pictures or content.
This is going to go way deeper. We're actually going to talk more about your messaging and how you are pulling people into a conversation with you.
Conversation.
And how you move that along your process. But setting up all your social media to do that for you. So we're going to show you how you can set up your profiles. We're going to show you, yes, we'll talk about cadences. We'll talk about
content creation
and all of that. But it's really just sort of thinking about if your business is all about meeting people, talking to people, fitting with people so you can coach the people. That's the 4 engagement steps that we
Which
always
is a coaching business construct.
Yeah, that's the model. That's your business model. The social media solution is really all about how do you meet more people using social media and how do you engage them in a conversation that they want to have.
Talk to them in a way that helps further them towards fit or sales discussions.
So that you can invite them into the next step of your process, whether that's to join a mini course or to sit down with you for a consult or to start a group or whatever, or even join your Facebook group, like whatever that call to action is, to move them along that journey. So that is what the purpose of it is. I'm excited about it because in our programs, we do use social media as a conduit. But here, because it's a dedicated conversation about social media, I'm basically going to have permission to go really nerdy with you in spots. Yep, and so we're going to do that. So
and
anyway,
because
that's
it's a mini course, in addition to the live training, well, the pre-recorded training, there's also a live coaching element with each of the 3 days. So you get an hour of training each of 3 days, starting Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday. And then another half hour of Q&A live with Amanda, where she goes through and answers any questions you have about the material and how to use it in your coaching business.
And when you join the beta, you also get access to the course as it's being released. So if you can't make it on Wednesday night or, something's come up, don't even sweat it.
Yeah, we got you.
You'll have everything included when you do that. So do just shout out social the way Karen has and Stephanie has, and Crushy the Crush Bot will send you all the details, including a letter from me that tells you everything that you can expect from this beta. And we hope to see you in there. So with alignment.
Right? Absolutely.
Social media, believe it or not, is also a huge alignment thing. Like it was huge for us. You remember my early posting and the struggle I had to keep up with it, to know what to say and all that. Now it's almost like I can't shut up.
Well, we even dropped a podcast about that, a vlog podcast just this week. It's actually me, for once, where you just kind of ambushed me in the middle of doing some of that social media marketing. And we had an interview about how it is I use humor and memes, for example, in our business's marketing. So I dish on what I'm doing with it, why I'm doing it, how I do it, and how it even fits into our business. And that's just on the free podcast. And that's just a little sample of what Amanda goes into in the social media mini course.
It's almost like when you really find that alignment for your message is you it's almost like you sit down, like I'm looking at my microphone, whenever I just do a plain podcast, because occasionally I'll just do a plain podcast interview. It's almost like you're having a conversation with a person like
right
this,
here.
A very aligned, awesome coffee chat with a person. And, maybe a little bit one-sided in that conversation. Maybe. But you can imagine their feedback. They're nodding along, as you're going through it. And that's how you know you're really aligned in your messaging for sure. That was the first time I got taken away from the discussion. I don't know.
Sorry, Karen. We're not sure what you mean there.
I don't know what you mean, Karen. I'm sorry. So good. So let's see. So Elizabeth shared from her live experience. Several people had said the first time sucks the most and it'll get better from there. So I did another live this morning. Good for you.
Way to jump back in there.
I got good responses, but it was no better. I'm just sort of hoping that I need to keep doing it and it will get better.
Sometimes it does take a little time to find that groove. I talked about the car that's brand new off the assembly line. You gotta kind of drive it a bit like my Jeep before it actually drives smoothly. Sometimes that's true. But you have to listen and decide for yourself, and you're the only one that can decide. To Amanda's point, is this telling me something else, or is it telling me keep going, it gets smoother? You have to figure that out.
I'm actually really curious, Chris. Like, when would you say that you got comfortable with lives? Because so what happened was we were at a mastermind and it was in Miami and Rachel Hollis was on the stage and we asked a really nonsensical question.
Yeah.
And basically the punchline was, do you want the guy to work with you or not? And I was like,
in front of the camera.
I'm like, sure. Yeah, that's great. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, no, it's good. Let's go. So then we were like, okay, we've got to solidify this. Like we've got to make a commitment here. Like if you're going to be in, like, let's be all the way in. So we felt that one of the ways to demonstrate that was to be live together on the live stream. So
Absolutely.
we went, that was that would, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was pretty much your first time going live.
I think I'd been live once or twice before
Maybe
during
once or
some of your
twice.
challenges. I'd gone live as a member of the challenge to kind of just try it out. I think I'd gone twice before.
Okay.
And then the first real...
So then we did the daily, we made the daily commitment, which,
Yep.
like, kudos to you for being so brave. But we did it, like, every day.
We did.
Obviously, we've been doing it, like, nearly 2 years now, every single day.
Yeah.
How long before you felt a lot of flow about live?
Well, the nice thing is, because you and I, obviously being married, we've kind of worked out our communication style together. Mm-hmm. And so this is really kind of like what a communication would be. If you walked into our house and we were just chatting, this is what it's like the whole time. So when we were discussing, let's do this, one of the things that I said very early on is, you know, if we're going to make this natural and something we want to do, I really want it to be just like when you and I are at home talking about topics. That's how I'm going to be comfortable. And because you said, absolutely, that makes sense, it's what I want too, that made it really easy for me because we found a way to have that discussion in a way that was very natural to me. It was just like we're having a conversation at home, like you were talking earlier, and we happen to have a camera here as well as the two of us just chatting right across from each other.
Yeah. So
you notice I look at her a lot because that's what we do in conversations.
I remember early on, and I hope this isn't too vulnerable of a share.
Oh, you taled about panda panties yesterday.
We did talk about panda panties yesterday.
And if you missed it, go see that one. It's hilarious.
But I guess an observation was I remember, like, I did it with you every time for like the first 2 months, and then something happened that I wasn't going to be there, but we decided to keep it, and you were going to go by yourself.
I was going to go do it on my own.
How was that?
That was scary, I will admit, because we had established, at that point, 2 months in, we had established quite a bit of back and forth. We were really comfortable playing off each other, kind of like what you see here now. And so now I had to kind of keep that conversation up on my own and had to figure out a way to do it. So I very much did what Amanda just described. I imagined that the little green dot was Amanda or somebody else that might just be listening to us. And I had the same conversation with the dot.
Yeah. It's almost like you have to give yourself permission to suck too.
And I did.
Yeah.
In my head, I said, all right, this might be a dumpster fire, but let's just go.
Like a key to success. Let yourself suck.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be okay with not being so good so that you can get better.
So amazing. Well, it's already been half an hour, you guys. Can you even believe it?
Boy, time goes fast. Yeah.
It goes fast. 4 o'clock, I'm going to come back live. I actually have some work I'm going to do for the next few hours. But then after that, I'm going to come back live at 4 o'clock. I think you're with
4
the
p.m.
boys.
Well, 4 p.m. Central.
Yeah.
We'll be in the Coaches Plaza. That's where we do the
Plaza.
Ask Us Anything.
Yes.
And that's just open Q&A. So the way that works is you join the Coaching Plaza if you're not in it yet. And it's a free group. We don't even ask for an email address. Just come and learn about your coaching business and tools that can help you.
Yes.
And in this case, at 4 p.m. Central, Amanda's there. I'll probably join for a little bit, depending on schoolwork for the kids. And we'll actually be there to field the questions you have live that are going to help move you forward in your coaching business, Coach.
Yes.
So bring your questions. And certainly the same rules apply. If we go 10 minutes without a question, we're going to assume you're busy growing your coaching business. We'll give you the time back and we'll go work in our coaching biz too.
Yes, but we want to be there for you. And, there's a post in the plaza that I posted this morning that you can always put your question there so that we know that you have a question that's coming. But bring your questions. We'll see you at 4 o'clock Central. Have an amazing day, guys.
See you soon.
See you tomorrow.
Mwah.
Bye.